Today we're stepping into something deeper, something ancient, and something that shows up in a very real, very practical way in our everyday lives. We're going to be talking about the Archons. So, what are they? How they show up? And how we can work with them through a tarot spread that I recently used myself. And I'll also be walking you through my personal reading because this spread did reveal a lot to me. So, first, what are the archons? So, in Gnostic teachings, archons are often described as rulers or forces that influence the material world. And instead of thinking of them as something that is outside of us, I want you to think of them as points of influence. So, like patterns, reactions, perceptions, places where we may be moving unconsciously instead of choosing consciously. And in this system, we can work with them through what I call the 7 planetary gates. Sorry. Each gate represents a layer of influence and a place where we can bring awareness back to ourselves. Now, I'm not going to go into detail, okay, about what the archons are or how they're associated with astrology. I would highly recommend Morg's channel. He just did a really cool one on the archons and how the different zodiac signs are considered demons, and there's archons. There's 7 archons associated with the 7 traditional planets. Well, not in so many words. Anyway, he describes it really good, but I wanted to expand on that for tarot. So let's talk about the spread first, and then I'll show you what came up for me. And you can lay this out in a circle, like a wheel, almost like planetary orbits. So, gate 1 is the Saturn gate, and this card represents limitation, control, structure, and pressure. So, this is where we ask, where am I feeling restricted or held back? I will be putting this down below in the description as well. So, card number 2, Jupiter gate. This is belief systems, expansion, and what you think is possible. So, this is where we ask what beliefs are shaping our reality right now, or what beliefs is shaping my reality right now. Card 3, Mars Gate. This is action, reaction, conflict, and survival instincts. So, this is where we ask, where am I reacting instead of acting consciously? Card 4, now this has 2 cards to it. This is the solar gate, and this is about identity. So pull 2 cards. The first one is, who are you being? And the second one is, who you truly are. So this is where I am out of alignment with my true self. Or should I say, this is where we ask where we are out of alignment with our true self. Card 5 is the Venus gate. This is attachment, relationships, desire, and emotional connection. So this is where we ask, what am I attached to that may be draining me or misaligned? The next card, the 6th card, is the Mercury gate. So this is thought patterns, communication, and inner dialogue. So this asks, what story or mental loop is influencing my actions? And then the 7th card is the Moon Gate. This is illusion, emotional imprinting, and subconscious patterns. So this is where we ask, what am I not seeing clearly? So the optional final card is the Sovereign Flame. This is your power beyond all influence. So this is what brings me back into my sovereignty. So let's get into my reading. And for my reading, I am using a brand new deck that is not out yet. This is a prototype. Okay, sorry, I had the hubby come home to grab a coffee. So, as I was saying, this is a new deck. This is my prototype. It's not out yet. It's being released at the end of April. I do have a couple more versions of the book. This is a smaller print version and a smaller image version. I have an expanded version that is full color, high quality paper on photo paper. And it's a full image for each card. Plus there's some other things that are added, and that's like 362 pages. But I've also, in order to cut down on cost, because that one's quite pricey, they're all being released on April 25th. I believe it's 25th on Amazon. But I also have a version that is black and white with the full color image, but it's black and white. And it's got the few other things. It's got larger print, and it's 362 pages. This is like 206 pages, I think. But anyways, I also created some mats. I have another one that I created. These are available over on my fourth wall that match the deck. These are the backs of the cards. So this is just, this came out darker than I like. I lightened it all up. And I'm not doing the linen feature for the Game Crafter. This is going to be available on Game Crafter and Make Playing Cards. It does come with a tuck box also. But I wanted to show you my spread. So let me see if I have these right. Okay, so for the first one, for my Saturn gate, I pulled the 3 of fire. My deck is based on the elements, not the tools, because it is Lilith. And she doesn't need any other tools than herself. So anyways, I got the 3 of fire. And this showed me that I can already see where I'm going. The vision is there, but instead of rushing forward, there's this moment of awareness, right? Making sure that what I'm building next is aligned. This isn't restriction for me. This is intentional expansion. So pretty much everything that I'm working on. Most of it's been done for a while, but I want to make sure it's all done the way exactly that I want it before I release it. I'm talking about this. So for my next card, the Jupiter gate, I pulled the 10 of Wands. And this was about carrying too much. Now there's 15 lights here. There's 15 fires for the 10. But it's because this goes back to the key 15, which is the devil. Because she's been demonized, right? But this shows me that the responsibilities and expectations and recognizing that not everything that I have been holding is mine to carry anymore. And I'm not. So for the Mars gate, I pulled the 7 of air because the Archons are like places where we can become restricted, or it's like very shadowy stuff. Right? So it's about awareness. And this is why it's the 7 gates, which is also associated with the planets, the traditional planets. So for my Mars gate, I pulled the 7 of air. This is Lilith on top of like a cathedral, and she's got gargoyles behind her. And then the stained glass with the 7. This showed me that I have been navigating something quietly, observing instead of confronting, stepping back instead of engaging. And sometimes that's strategy, but sometimes it's also avoidance. And I have purposely been avoiding it because I just don't feel that it's worth my engagement. Now for the solar gate, I pulled 2 cards. So, who am I being? The Empress. And who am I truly? The Knight of Earth. These are lighter. These have been lightened up. So, this showed me that I have been in a nurturing, giving, creating space. But my truth right now is about building something structured, something lasting, and something grounded. Not just creating, but establishing. Okay? For my Venus gate, I pulled the Knight of Water. Yes. And this is also, they've all been lightened up. This really showed me it was clearly about a person. That same person that avoiding, right? A connection that was once meaningful to me, still is very meaningful to me, but over time became draining and no longer aligned. I feel like we are no longer aligned because true feelings came out in a very public way. And I don't feel like it's worth my energy. But instead of forcing a confrontation, I stepped back. And the situation has actually kind of resolved itself naturally, or at least that's my desire. So for my Mercury gate, I pulled the Knight of Fire in reverse. I don't normally take the cards reverse, but it flew out in reverse. So I kept it that way. And this showed me something very practical. So this is my Knight of Fire. This is where outside voices and conversations can create a moment of pause. Not stopping, but checking. So making sure that what I'm putting out into the world is an intentional and refined item, okay? Or projects, or anyways, I'm not being rushed or impulsive. I'm the opposite of the Knight of Fire in this particular situation. And then for my Moon gate, I pulled Temperance. And this one was very interesting to me because, and here's the Temperance. In my deck, it is the Alchemist. So instead of chaos, it showed me that I have been trying to maintain balance, blending, harmonizing, and sometimes growth isn't about balance. Sometimes it's about clarity and choosing what direction I really want to go. So enforcing my boundaries, muting people if I have to mute them for a while, or snoozing them if I have to snooze them for a while, not responding, period. Choosing my own sovereignty and clarity in that, and not feeling bad about it. Choosing me, essentially. Not choosing balance, choosing my direction, which is me. And finally, this is optional. This is the Sovereign Flame. And I pulled the Ten of Earth. And this was the confirmation that I needed. This is about stability, structure, legacy. What I'm building is meant to last. So when I look at this entire spread, what I see is transformation and transition from fire into earth, from inspiration into structure, from creating into building something that holds. And this is why I wanted to share this with you, because the Archons, or these points of influence, don't just exist in theory. They show up in relationships, in creative works, in public spaces, and even the way that we respond to outside opinions. And when we become aware of them, we don't lose control, we gain it. So if you feel called, try the spread for yourself and just ask, where am I reacting? Where am I being influenced? And where can I step back into my own sovereignty? So I want to thank you so much for being here with me today. And if this resonated with you, I would love to hear your thoughts in the comments. And as always, see you in the next one.